Kevin. Glad to have you back. So, can you tell us how it all started for you and what inspired you to become an executive coach?
Yes, thank you for having me again. My journey into executive coaching, training, L&D started organically. I spent years in leadership roles across different countries, managing diverse teams and navigating complex challenges, UK, Australia, Asia, and so on. And along the way, I realized that what I enjoyed most was helping others develop their potential and guiding them through their own leadership journeys. So it wasn't just about achieving business goals, even though this is important, but it is also about seeing people grow and succeed. So this interest and passion for personal and professional development naturally led me to pursue executive coaching and training. And I wanted to share what I've learned and help leaders thrive in uncertain environments and make a tangible impact on their growth.
Definitely. I think that's a very great thing to do because I feel like with business growth, you really do need personal development. Like, you can't grow your business without growing yourself. And I firmly believe that. And I also wonder if you have any kind of client who really stuck with you throughout the years, like how much they grew from your coaching. Do you have one example?
I have quite a few with our repeated business, but with
Mm-hmm.
all the clients, we signed NDAs, non disclosure agreements, right? Yeah, we have
Of
to
course.
respect that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I understand. So, in your experience, what are some of the most common rookie mistakes that non tech founders make when trying to integrate technology into their startups?
Underestimating the complexity of technology integration. They might think of it as just another box to tick rather than a core component that requires thoughtful planning and expertise. That's number one. Another pitfall is not involving technical experts early enough in the process. Sometimes founders and business owners, what they try to do, I understand that they try to cut costs by outsourcing without fully understanding what they need, leading to mismatched expectations and then costly reward down the line. And another one is sometimes I notice a tendency to chase after the latest trends without actually aligning them with the business actual needs, which can be, as you understand, Panida, a distraction rather than an advantage.
Absolutely. I see a lot of people posting on LinkedIn about how everyone's just trying to add AI into their business. Some of them are doing it well, they're using it to solve a key problem in their business, but others are just adding it in so that they have this, you know, they feel like they're innovating in the best way, but actually they're not, and they're just adding in a feature rather than a problem solver.
Yes, I think being strategic, the why is much more important than the how. So it's important, I believe, to be strategic. Why do I do what I do? What outcome do I want?
Mhm, definitely. So, how can non tech founders better communicate their vision to a technical team, especially when they don't speak the same language?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I suppose what you mean same language, you mean technical language versus non-technical language. I suppose that's
Yeah.
what you mean.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's a great question. And I believe it starts with humility, number one, and number two, a willingness to learn. So you see, if you're a known tech founder, I don't think you need to become a tech expert, but you should invest time in understanding the basics of what your technical team does, right? And why this is important, I believe this is important because this will build mutual respect and trust. Another way, and I think I just covered it in in our previous sentences, is crucial to focus on the why rather than the how. I think it's important to clearly articulate the business goals and the problem you are trying to solve. Okay. And then encourage your technical team to suggest solutions and please be open to their input. And then what you can do, regular check-ins with your team, using visual aids, and in general, foster an environment where asking questions is encouraged rather than not encouraged. And that I believe that two-way communication will bridge the potential communication gap.
Yeah, definitely. I think communication is so key. And also, like what you said, the why rather than the how. Because as long as the problem is solved, I mean, it does matter how it is solved, especially in terms of legal complications and everything. But the non technical founder does not need to know everything. They just need to make sure that the business objective is met.
That's right. The bigger picture. If you have, I believe,
Yeah,
a very clear why, you'll find the how.
definitely. So technology evolves rapidly and it's easy to get overwhelmed. How can non-tech founders stay ahead without falling into the trap of shiny object syndrome?
Yeah, technology really is, especially when I come to Asia, it's every time in all the
Yeah,
apps I have on my phone, I really need to change something, update something, add something, remove something. Especially in Asia, technology evolves really fast. So, to your question, I believe, Vanida, that is about staying grounded in your core business objectives. Every new tool or trend, I believe that you should evaluate it against your strategic goals. Ask yourself, does this technology solve a real problem for me, for my company? Will it help me serve my customers better or more efficient? That's number one. Another one is rely on your network. What to get support and advice if you can from trusted advisors who understand both technical and business. Okay. And lastly, make sure that you have a disciplined approach to experiment. Look at new technologies on small scale before fully committing so you can evaluate their impact without derailing your main operations.
yeah, definitely. I really like your point on getting good advisors. I think that is one of the key things that I see like really successful founders invest in. Like you always see them talking about their mentors and like the people who like they ask advice from over the years because I think what's been very clear to me is that like successful people they follow successful people like there's and I think unsuccessful people they're afraid to ask for help, especially when they're like they feel like they don't know anyone. But actually if you don't know anyone you can just listen to a podcast, right? It's like this one and then you can get good advice for your startup.
It's a mindset. It's about being humble and having a growth mindset. And it's exactly what you said when we had a
Yeah,
small discussion before we went live. You said to me, I'm learning a lot through my podcast with talking with other people.
yeah,
So it's about being humble and you don't need to know everything. But if you're humble and you have an open mindset, I think that's the first step. Put your ego
so
aside a little bit.
yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the main things I've learned from podcasting is that not to be fixed that this is the solution to certain things. Because when you meet so many people, you realize that you could completely be wrong about something, and that could be the best thing that you've learned from a conversation. Because sometimes you shouldn't continue to go down the wrong path, and you should change. But there are sometimes that you shouldn't change because you're on the right path. So it just depends.
You know, I think it was Socrates, the Greek philosopher, who said, the more I know, the more I understand I know nothing.
It's true.
Becoming a
The
little
curse
bit
of learning.
philosophical. Yes, exactly. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Can you share a story where a tech decision either made or nearly broke a business, and what can we learn from that experience?
Interesting. All right. I tell you where once I worked for a fintech company and that company rushed into adopting a new CRM system because it was highly recommended and looked like to be the industry standard. So that company, the IT, they said, we want to adopt a new CRM. We want to get rid of the existing and bring in the new. But they rushed it. They tried to really do it fast. However, what they did not fully assess whether it's aligned with their specific needs, and they didn't cooperate with other internal stakeholders, let's say the sales directors, to check if their team had the capacity to manage the transition. So what happened? That was 4 or 5 years ago. The rollout was a disaster, chaotic. Customer data was lost, and sales processes were disrupted, and salespeople got really annoyed. So it nearly broke down the business.
Yeah.
And the lesson here is to thoroughly evaluate whether a tech solution is the right fit for your unique context, and to ensure that you have the right support and training in place before making such a significant change. You can do it, but don't rush it.
Definitely. I think that's why you should have two systems until one of them, until it's clear that the technical solution already works. And I think that's also why you should pick overly complicated solutions, because sometimes something that is simpler and works with your team is actually better than the more complex and the cooler features it has.
I agree. Exactly. Yeah.
So, when it comes to leadership in a startup environment, especially in VUCA towns, what role does technology play in building resilient teams?
Yeah. I think here, when it comes to leadership in a startup environment, you really need to mix technology with soft skills if you want to be an effective
Hmm.
manager or a startup founder or a startup leader. So, in very volatile environments as we live, geopolitical, inflation, economy, and so on, technology, I believe, can be both a stabilizing a force, and a catalyst for agility. Why? Because it enables, first of all, remote work, technology. Technology also allows for real time communication. Technology also will give you data that can help you in decision making. Okay. However, as a manager or a leader or a business owner of a tech company, technology alone is not enough. So it needs to be complemented by strong leadership that fosters trust and adaptability. So if you are a leader, you should use technology to empower your team, giving them the tools and data they need to make informed decisions quickly. Okay. And it is also, I believe, about creating a culture. You hear me talk about the word culture a lot. I believe in a good company culture. For me, is number one. So it is also about creating a culture where continuous learning and experimentation are encouraged, so the team can adapt to changes as they come. So really, technology and soft skills integrated together.
Definitely. I think you need both. And I really wonder, in terms of the practicalities of creating a company culture, what would you recommend? Especially for early stage startups who only have small teams, like how would they implement the kind of culture that makes their organization succeed?
Yes. Sometimes when I coach managers,
Mhm.
sometimes they tell me this: how do I engage my team? How do I engage them? And my reply is, you don't engage them. You engage one by one. So sit down with your people, have one-on-one conversations, and find out what motivates them, what drives them, where
Mhm.
do they see themselves in the next 2, 3 years, and why they do what they do. And once you, as a manager, understand their motivations, you can manage and lead them better and get them involved in the projects that they want to be involved. And I think that's the first step in creating a culture. And number two is, a good leader models the behavior they want to see from others. So if you want some change to happen in your company or some behavioral change, you should be the one leading by example and modeling the behavior you want to see. So it is a very much a top down approach.
Definitely. So actually, it seems to always come from the leader that has to change first, right? They have to lead by example and also really understand the underlying motivation of their team, and not only like about achieving company objectives, but helping their team achieve their own objectives through the company as well.
Yes, absolutely. It always comes from the leader, the leaders, the senior executive team. It's very much a top-down approach.
So what are some low cost or even free tech tools that you believe that every non-technical founder should know about?
Yeah, I think there are some good tools out there, right? Especially for project management. You have Trello, you have Monday.com, you have Asana, which they offer free, kind of free subscriptions up to a point. And Slack also is good, right? WhatsApp is also good, and Slack for internal communication. Google Workspace is another invaluable tool, offering everything from cloud storage to collaboration tools at a very low cost. And for customer relationship management, I like HubSpot's free CRM from HubSpot, which is a great starting point. And here I think it's important to look for tools that you can integrate well with each other in order to keep things simple and streamlined. So there are some tools that can be integrated. So have a look for those.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Slack integrations with other tools are very useful as well.
Think so, yes.
So tech tools are inevitable. So tech issues are inevitable, but they can feel like insurmountable roadblocks for non-technical founders. What mindset should they adopt to navigate these challenges without losing momentum?
Problem solving mindset in 3 words, right? So instead of seeing tech issues as roadblocks, look them as puzzles to be solved. And so that's number one, problem solving mindset. Number two, don't be afraid to ask for help. Consultants, maybe you can sometimes bring in temporary experts to guide you through. And three, I think you need to have a long term view. And again, a very big why that will keep you motivated in difficult times. If you have a long term view, you will understand that setbacks are part of the process. And what matters most is how quickly and effectively you can bounce back from them. And sometimes there is a quote we used to say in the UK, if you want to go fast, I think it's an African proverb actually, but we used to say it in the UK a lot, but I think it originates from Africa. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you need a team.
Yeah, actually, I completely agree. I think having a team that's on the same mission makes all the difference. But I also know that there are some people who really thrive in solopreneurship. So I think it also depends on the kind of approach you want to take in business.
Yeah, you can start in solopreneurship, but if you do well, you will definitely need more people. You will definitely need a team. If you're not, maybe you're not expanding as
Definitely.
fast. Yeah.
True,
You
it's
know?
true.
Yeah.
So what's one piece of advice that you wish you had received when you were just starting out that could have saved you from a major mistake?
Wow. Good. You asked some great questions. I wish someone had told me that it is okay not to have all the answers right away. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I got my first managerial position at the age of 25, and I was managing some people older than me. I felt a lot of pressure to be the expert in everything, which led me to unnecessary stress and a reluctance to ask for help. Because if I go and ask for help, it means I'm not good enough, right? But if I had known that leadership is more about asking the right questions and surrounding yourself with the right people, I would have avoided a lot of early mistakes. So being open to learning and recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone, I think is key.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very good advice. I think one of the main things that stop people from starting companies, starting their own side hustles is that they feel like they need to know everything. And that if they don't know something, that means they're on the wrong path. But actually, you're on the right path. You just need a different mindset.
I agree. Totally agree with you.
So, lastly, looking back at your career, what are you most proud of? And how did you overcome early challenges that shaped the leader that you are today?
I am most proud of the impact I've had on the leaders I've coached and trained and managers. Seeing them grow, overcome their own challenges, reframe their own limiting beliefs, and succeed has been incredibly rewarding for me. Overcoming early challenges taught me resilience. You really need to be resilient, and the importance of staying true to my values, even when sometimes it's difficult to do. And it also made me realize that leadership is a journey. You need to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. You need to enjoy the process, the ups and the downs. And the challenges I faced shaped me into a more empathetic and definitely more patient leader. I have much more patience that I used to have. And these things, they reinforce my belief in the power of continuous learning and adaptation. And I think that's something that I carry with me in everything I do.
Definitely. I really, especially really liked your point on enjoying the process and the ups and the downs, because I think that's one of the key things as well to actually be a happy individual. Actually, happier individuals, they lead companies better as well. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they're quite miserable because they feel like if I haven't reached my goal yet, then I can't be happy. Then if this company is not yet successful, then I'm not happy. But I feel like that's not good enough.
Yeah, to close on a little bit philosophical note, are humans happy? Are we really happy? I don't know. Because every time we reach something, we want something else. Maybe this is the nature, the way we are. Maybe we will never really be happy. I don't know. Maybe a fifth that has 2 seconds memory is happier than us. So it's really philosophical. I think that's why it's important to enjoy the journey, because if you have a two-bedroom
Definitely.
house, you want a four-bedroom house. When you have a four-bedroom house, you want a 10-bedroom house. When you have a BMW, you want a Mercedes. When you have a Mercedes, you want a Ferrari. When you want a Ferrari, you want a helicopter, and so on. Enjoy the journey, because I don't think true happiness exists.
That's
It
true, actually. I
exists.
completely
You
agree.
know,
Yeah, I think I
it exists. True happiness exists. Sorry to stop you. It exists, but in the meaning that humans, we always want more from what we have. And maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe
yeah.
that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing, because if humans we didn't want more, humans we will still be living in caves like we did 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this is a good point to close up on. So, innovate, add one more, and enjoy the journey to get there. Yeah.
absolutely. I think is important. Very important. Yes.
So, thank you so much, Evan, for sharing all your insights for your second time on the podcast. And I'm sure our audience will enjoy it.
It was pleasure having being with you, for having me. Let's do it again in the future, and good luck in your
Yeah,
professional
definitely.
and business endeavors that you currently have.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too.
Pleasure.